So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly 10 a.m. Central Make Money Now coaching call, coaching group. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, then definitely reach out and let me know, and I will get you invited to the Facebook group. It's where we post the recordings to this call, and also where we have some discussion around the calls and around what we're doing. And I'm just turning on the do not disturb on my phone as well. And so it's interesting. Last week I had an interaction with a number of people, and it seemed like there were two distinct groups of people that I talked to all week. Those who were overwhelmed with the amount of business that they had now in the summer selling season, and those who were saying, "Wow, I wish I had a buyer now." So what I've decided to do is leave the people who are overwhelmed alone, and to focus on those of us who may be sitting in the situation of needing to get a buyer. And so I've got three very distinct strategies. All three of these I have used. These are market tested strategies and strategies that coaching clients of mine over the years have used as well to get a buyer now. And when I say now, I mean today. These are definitely things that you can utilize and use in your business immediately to get somebody to be showing houses to tomorrow. So just to give everybody a little bit of my background and a little bit of my experiences, I was the #1 new agent in the state of Florida back in 2005, 2006. I sold over 120 million in a calendar year. I've listed 120 properties in 1 year. I am a national trainer and coach. I've owned 3 different brokerages and been an executive of 3 others. I have worked with every major brand and have a love affair with all of those brands. I'm the former chief operating officer of The Real Recruiter and Cheplak Solutions, and I'm also a former Tom Ferry coach. The reason why I give my experience and I throw this out is so that there's some legitimacy to some of the strategies and tactics that I talk about. These aren't things that are just coming off the cuff by me. This is based on a couple of decades of experience of both my own experience as a real estate agent and also the experience of the people that I have coached and trained to success and greater success. So as we get started, I want to talk very quickly about the difference between creating a buyer and finding a buyer. So one of the things that we don't have as much influence over as we might like is the timing of a buyer. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute, is a lot of times we can't really determine the timing of when somebody is going to be in a buying situation. I've got a couple of examples that I'm going to give you of how we can influence timing and influence the awareness around how this person could be a buyer. But ultimately, in this experience of getting a buyer, it's more finding a buyer than it is creating a buyer. And one of the things that I want to talk about is the specificity of how we ask for referrals is one of the reasons why we don't get many referrals. And I'll just throw this out there. The question, do you know of anybody who might be looking to buy, sell, or invest or lease real estate, is not a good question to get referrals. And I'll give you a great example. So Juan and Bettina, for those of you who know Juan and Bettina, we talk on a regular basis, and when they ask me, so Chris, how's it going? Is there anything I can do for you? My immediate response is no, right? But when Bettina says, hey, I'm ordering a bunch of vegetables on Instacart, do you want me to send you some vegetables over? My answer is always yes. Right? So the specificity of how we talk to somebody really does determine how well they can send us a referral. And I'll get into specifics in a minute. So I talked about creating a buyer, and I want to talk about a couple of different ways that we can create an investor buyer. So very early on in my real estate career, I came into real estate as an investor, but very early on in my real estate career, I read books like The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and I had some mentors who told me that every person that you work with, every person that is a past client should be a future investor client that you're working with. And I learned the did you know call, and this is a great call as you're calling through your center of influence to set the stage for someone being an investor. And so one of the areas that one of these strategies is through working with investors and getting an investor to work with today. So the did you know call is a call that you can make to any single person that you know, especially if they're already a homeowner and they've experienced home ownership themselves. And it is, did you know that the #1 way Americans create wealth is through real estate? Have you ever considered becoming a real estate investor? And this is a great call that we can all use with everyone in our database that, because guess what? Guess what the answer to have you ever considered becoming a real estate investor is? Everyone has the same answer. They go, well, yes, actually I have. Everyone says that. Everyone, that's their response, because almost everyone who's ever bought a house has thought about it, right? Especially those that went from that transition of being a renter to a buyer. It was like, wow, I own this house. Maybe one of these days I'll be able to be an owner who has a renter, right? And so this is one of those questions that you can ask to kind of open people's minds. Now I want to go one step further and talk about creating that investor client. And this is in finding an investor, and I want you to look at the combination of the two, is the I found this property call. And we've got a couple of people on the phone on this coaching call right now who are investors. So, put yourself in the seat of if you got this phone call from somebody, is, hey, I found this house here in Richardson that is undervalued and would make a great rental. Do you know anyone who has rental property that I could talk to? So everybody knows investors, right? Everybody has friends who are investors, and those that don't and are interested in being investors themselves, this is an opportunity for you to talk about this. So I know what everyone is thinking is, Chris, but wait a second. I haven't found a house in Richardson that's undervalued and would make a great rental. How do I find those houses? Well, reverse engineer your call. I want you to do this. I want you to pretend that you just got a phone call from somebody that you know, or that's a friend of a friend, and they say, hey, I'm looking for a rental property in Richardson, McKinney, Allen, doesn't matter. I want my rent to be able to cover my mortgage, and I want to put down, maybe 10%, but not more, or whatever the case may be. But create that scenario for yourself, and then get into the MLS and search. And so, what would you do if you got that call from the investor who wants to buy the house as rental in Richardson? Well, obviously, I'd go into the MLS and I'd start searching to see if I can find something. So I went, literally, guys, I spent 5 minutes on this. This wasn't something that I spent hours researching. 5 minutes on this for both of the properties I'm going to talk about in this call. So this is a house that is literally about a quarter mile away from me, and all the houses in my neighborhood go in the high 2s to mid 3s or higher. So for 1,765 square foot 3.2, this type of a little brick house at $250, it's a steal. It is a steal. I've looked at the pictures. It's a house that was rehabbed. This is a steal for somebody looking to pick up rental property. There's absolutely no work that needs to be done to it. And I actually, when I found this by accident on Saturday, I actually picked up the phone and called a couple people and said, hey, I found this house. Do you know of anybody who might be interested? So I just used this, and I would be shocked if this house was still on the market in 2 or 3 days. But when you go into the MLS, you can find these properties in the neighborhoods that you're in. And I search for things that, let's say, recent price decreases, right? I search for things like, let me go back. I search for things like a dramatic decrease, like that's a substantial decrease. And I look for things that in just the single line display look out of whack from the others. Right. So if everything else is 3.2s, 1,800 square feet, are 300 to 350, I see one that's 250. I want to take a look at it and see why it's 250. So reverse engineer that call. Pretend you have an investor, find a property, and then call people and ask for investors. So that's our strategy. Number one is either creating or finding an investor. Number two, converting a renter. So first-time home buyers is the same thing sort of as converting a renter, but I think the process is a little bit different. So a first-time home buyer is usually someone who is interested in buying a home, and we're helping them figure out how to buy a home. Converting a renter is helping a renter change their mindset around their living. And so for me, it starts with finding a property, figuring out the numbers, and then calling the renters in my database or the family of renters in my database. And I'll throw this out to you. If you have, if you live in a good suburban, single family home neighborhood, and there are families in your neighborhood that have kids that are getting to college age, they are prime they're prime as people that you can call as either investors or as people that might be looking to pick up a property for their kid. This is so like a friend of mine did a little bit of research and trying to find new people in his database. And he basically called through everybody in his database. Greg Fowler, for those that know him, went through and called everybody in his database to find people who might need a property for their kid. And why would you let your kid pay rent to somebody else when they could be paying rent to you, right? So calling the renters or the family of renters, and then asking them. So here, for me, this is a great question. So one, I see that you're currently, I know that you're currently renting. So what's standing in the way of you being a homeowner? And you let them talk, right? So you let them talk about what is standing in the way. And here's what they're going to say is, I don't want to deal with the hassle. I don't have a down payment. I can't afford to buy something. After you listen to them talk about that, then you trial close them. And for those who don't know, this wonderful sales technique of, okay, anything else, anything else, anything else, anything else, and then ask them the question. So if we were able to deal with those issues that you have that keep you from being a homeowner, would you consider buying? And they go, well, maybe, or yes, or whatever. And so schedule a meeting with them and come to a meeting prepared with very specifics. Now, you don't have to have the right property. You don't have to have the right property for them, but have a property that you can discuss with them. And so I went and I found one. 6050 Melody Lane, Unit 239 is $54,000 condo. So where is this, Chris? That's just ridiculously cheap. It is. I found the cheapest condo on the market, and it is right here. It is on the edge of a not so nice neighborhood, but it's right down by Loop 12 and 75. If you know Dallas, this is, North Park Mall is right here, right? There's a great little Starbucks here, Half Price Books. This is a redeveloping area. You go south of Loop 12, and it's very expensive. And this is an up and coming area. And so 20% down on this property would be $10,000. And I don't know if you know this, and I'm just talking dialogue that I would have with them. I don't know if you know this or not, but a lot of lenders will allow someone to gift you this money. So do you think your parents might want to gift you $10,000 to make you a homeowner, right? Or, do you think, if we could get around this down payment, this is something you might consider if that's what scares them. So the mortgage is $250 a month. This is on a 30-year mortgage at 5.7% on $43,000, which would be the difference. The HOA on this is $268 a month. Taxes and insurance $150 a month, with a total monthly less than $700. So that's right here. If you can see my, let me annotate here. So I'm going to go ahead and do my laser pointer. So there is nothing in this entire area here, right? And even going further north, There's nothing that you can rent for less than $700. There's nothing on the market for less than $700. If you go all the way down here, there's a subsidized housing project where if you qualify, you can get $740 a month for a one-bedroom, right? So income restrictions and those types of things. So this is very, very affordable. And their mortgage is something that's partially going back into their pocket. So you have the ability to create this condition to talk to them. And here's the thing. If their credit isn't good, great. You get them set up with a credit repair guy, right? And the volume that you can produce with converting a renter is larger than with a lot of other things. So you might have to talk to a number of people or work with a number of people, but this will get you out showing houses tomorrow and working with the buyer tomorrow and having some buyer appointments tomorrow. Let me turn off my laser pointer. I don't know how. So next, and this is my third strategy for finding a buyer tomorrow. So our first is finding an investor or creating an investor. The second is converting a renter, which is basically a first-time home buyer type program. And then this is program-based. And what I mean by program-based is a loan program-based. So, and I'll throw this out. Call up your preferred lender and ask him if he has any new or interesting programs that are being underutilized. I'm going to talk about one specifically here, but I'm going to give you some history and some other programs and some strategies that I've been able to make around these programs. So 2016, there was a no doc, no credit check loan available up to $600,000 with zero down payment for doctors and people with advanced degrees in the medical services industry, right? So a buddy of mine that I was helping work this strategy, he found this loan, he found a lender that worked this loan, and he picked up the phone and started calling the HR departments of the hospitals. So guess how many hospitals he ended up calling? One. He called Baylor Hospital, their HR department, and he said, hey, I help doctors and interns and residents become homeowners. There is a loan program where they don't have to put any money down. Their credit score is not checked. As long as they are employed here, employed as a doctor or a resident, we can get them a loan. Is there anybody that I could talk to? She said, yeah, come on in. And so he just came in. She walked him around. The HR person walked him around to the different doctors' lounges, and he handed out flyers. He ended up working with 10 people in like literally less than a day. So that's what I mean by program-based. The same is true. There are teacher programs that are specific only to teachers, right? There are first responders programs that are amazing and fantastic. There are civil employee programs that are fantastic. And I'll talk about the one that, and I don't know how to turn my highlighter off. There we go. Nope. Sorry, guys. Give me 2 seconds. I put on the laser pointer, and I don't know how to there we go. Okay. So this past Thursday, for those of you who were there at Citibank, where we do our Wednesday training, Luis Rios was in a launch for his new ITIN program. So for those of you that don't know, the ITIN program is a program for people who don't have a Social Security number that want to buy a home, or for whatever reason they're not doing another Social Security number. Usually it's people who have cash businesses, and a lot of times here in Texas, it's people who might either be a DACA or just have unclear residency issues. And so ITIN loans are very big for them, so that they can use their international tax or individual tax identification number as opposed to a social security number. So, so this is just one example. So Lewis has this loan program. What I would do is get the information from this loan program and call through my center of influence to ask if they know anyone. So one of the things one of the benefits, the two-stage benefit of calling through my center of influence with something like this is, number one, I get to demonstrate to my center of influence that I'm a competent, relevant real estate agent, right? I'm on top of what's going on in the industry. The second is I'm not asking them directly for their business. I'm asking if they know anyone that I might be able to help because of this new program, whether it's a teacher program, a fireman's program, the ITIN program, or whatever it is. And this is the type of call that our center of influence does not mind getting from us, because we're reaching out to them to see if there's somebody they know that we can help. So, guarantee. I love guarantees. Choose one of these strategies. One, not all three. One, choose one of these strategies and talk to 50 people. And you will be showing houses to a buyer tomorrow. Before you can get to that 50th person, you will be showing houses tomorrow. And in my experience, most people won't call the 50 people, but they will complain tomorrow about still not having a buyer to work with. That's just my experience. So if you're watching this as a video, or a friend has invited you to watch this video, talk to 50 people. Talk to 50 people you know that want to have a conversation with you, where this is a relevant conversation that you can have, so you can help somebody that they love. And now I'm going to go to extra credit points. So extra credit points. By the way, so everybody gets an A. And so extra credit means you get an extra A or a star next to your name, which doesn't have much value. So extra credit, call a couple of agents that you think could benefit from having a few extra buyers. Send them the video of this training and set up a coffee meeting mastermind with them to talk about what you're going to implement and to hold each other accountable. So here's what my experience is. If there's somebody who is crushing it, that is just amazing, and I think they're out of this world, and they say they're doing something, I'm really not that inspired, because Bruce can do this because Bruce has been in the business forever, right? Bruce is a superstar. Of course Bruce can get buyers by calling through his sphere. Everybody loves Bruce, right? Those are my excuses, right, that I can make, right? Because I'm not Bruce, right? So I don't have all those people. I don't have all those past clients, right? So call up a couple of people that are a similar skill set, similar level of experience. So for me, like, one of the rules I use in masterminding is I will usually get a couple of people who I think I can be of immense help to, and a couple of people that I think will be of immense help to me, right? Like an even group. So like for me, the perfect masterminding number is 5 people. So if I can get 2 people that I know I can help, and 2 people that I know that will help me, and I can bring us together and facilitate, and then we can hold each other accountable, right? Because if I make a promise, and I'll just, so if Craig and Bruce and I we're masterminding around this, there's a high likelihood I'll do what I say I'm going to do, because Craig and Bruce are my friends, and I don't want to disappoint them, right? I want to do what I've said I'm going to do, right? And also, I'm not going to let Craig beat me. It's just not going to happen, right? I'm going to outcall Craig, or whatever those personal dynamics are. I'd let Craig win. Craig's great. So for extra credit, do a mastermind. So we have completed this call about 5 minutes early. And here's what and this was on purpose. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to put this recording. It'll be up in about a half an hour, 45 minutes, up on my YouTube channel. So if you just YouTube Chris Weaver Real Estate. You're going to find my YouTube channel, and I'm going to put this up as the 3 buyer strategies as YouTube. And so what I'd suggest is between now and a half an hour from now, picking out 5 people. Okay, so 2 people who you think you can be helpful to, and 2 people who you want their input and how to implement this, right? But people that you think could benefit from by having a couple of extra buyers, and try and set up a coffee date for the 5 of you this week to get together and talk about implementing this. And you will be enriched by both your ability to help your colleagues, and also by your ability to be helped and to bring this together. So thank you very much, everyone. The recording will be up soon. And for those of you that are EXPers, our talent attraction coaching call is going to start at 10:45. I look forward to seeing you all there, and have a great Monday. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Oops.